So today we're going to talk about why six-figure business owners stay broke. And if you're a seven-figure owner, you probably fall into some of these same traps too. So let's go through it. The first problem I want to address is business owners don't really think about their time and the value of their time. They say, well, last year the company netted X amount of dollars, or the company did so much in revenue, therefore I'm worth this, or I made this much money. That's the wrong way to think about it. It is important to know those figures. The problem is, if you're trying to make more money and make yourself more valuable, you have to compress it into what you're doing on a daily basis. So the first thing is 15 minutes. Just like this video, we've been working on this video for, you don't want to know how long. Longer than 15 minutes to get it ready. Get the lights ready, get the board ready, all this stuff, and then you gotta get something to drink, you go to the bathroom. So if we said how long did it take to set this video up, however long it was, an hour we'll say, but it really was an hour because we did other stuff. Went to the bathroom, got drinks, ate, whatever it might be. Most of your tasks are like that. You have an hour-long conference call. Well, you probably do something 5 minutes before, you probably do something 5 minutes after, so that's an hour and 10. And you compound that over the course of the day and you realize that you didn't work 8 or 9 hours, you worked 6, maybe 7 hours. So you need to take your day and put it in 15-minute increments. And here's what you're looking for. You're looking to see what the value of the task that you're doing is. So the bottom down here, we have in red, it's $15 to $50 task. Statistically speaking, you're probably spending 60% of your time on those tasks. 60% of your time on tasks between $15 and $50 an hour. 25% of your time is going to tasks that are between $50 an hour and $200 an hour. And when I say this, I just simply mean you could hire someone for that rate to do that work, right? 10% of your time is going to $200 to $500, and then 5%, $500 to $1,000 and up. So if we go back here to this 15-minute thing, we say, well, from 8 to 8:15, what did you do? What did you do, and was it worth 15, 50, 200, or 500? What did you do, and what was it worth? From 8:15 to 8:30, what did you do? And you might say, well, from 8 to 9, I actually had a meeting. Okay, so from 8 to 9, I had a meeting. So that's 4 15-minute periods. Then you would say, well, in that meeting, what did I actually do? What did I contribute to the meeting? And was it worth my time, which should be this $500 to $1,000 or up range every time, right? So if you're in a meeting for an hour, there's a real question of, are you actually adding value to the meeting that's between $500 to $1,000 or up if you're a bigger company? Are you adding that kind of value? If you are, great. But the odds are for that full hour, you're probably not. And so what happens is, you might have 15 minutes of that meeting where you added $500 of value, but the rest of the time it's 15. You could have had AI record the notes, you could have admin record the notes, whatever. You didn't need to be there. You're wasting your time. If you took this and you did this for the whole week, what you're likely to find is that you're going to spend most of your time on tasks that are going to average out to be around $50. So you're going to do some $200, some $250, some $500, but a lot of stuff you're going to do will be $15 task, $20 task. And you're going to spend a ton of time on stuff like that because now you're tracking it in 15-minute increments, which means your time is really valuable. Think about the group everybody hates most, attorneys. You call your attorney up and what does he do? He charges you by the minute. You talk to him for 6.5 minutes, he sends you a bill for 6.5 minutes. He's thinking like this. And I'm not a fan of attorneys, who is, but he's thinking like this. You're not. You're thinking, I have to work hard to get this done, and you're not realizing that you're hurting yourself because you're working on tasks at this value. So, every 15 minutes, starting tomorrow, you're going to track your time. And then you're going to put a time value. What was that worth? What could I have hired someone to do that for? And then after the week's over, you're going to run that average. So you have your 15s, your 20s, your 55s, whatever it might be, and you run your average. And oh, by the way, for being honest, you're going to count all the time you didn't do anything. the time you just sat around, check Twitter, check Facebook, you're really going to count that too. That's worth 0, by the way. So your average is going to go down. So let's say that for 40 hours, your average time value was $50. That's $2,000 a week. That means for that week, for this week, the value of the stuff that you brought to the company is worth $2,000. Now, if you offloaded those tasks to other people, you hired, you delegated, whatever it might be, and you started focusing on stuff that was higher, you're still going to have some dips down into this $50 to $200 range. It's okay. But your average now becomes $300. That's a $12,000 weekly value you bring to the company. You see that? You go from $2,000 to $12,000 just by doing the task that move the needle. It's that simple. Now, you might go $10,000 a week. That's a lot of money. Over the course of the year, though, look at it. It's $520,000, right? 52 times 10, simple math, $520,000. My son could do that. So, on option 1, you're doing $2,000 task for the year, so that's $104,000 worth of value you're bringing, or you're expecting of yourself, or you're saying your time and your worth to the company is $104,000. If you move it up, now you're bringing in $624,000 worth of value. And let me unpack this for a second. The odds are, right now, if you're spending 60% of your time in this bracket, and you probably are, you could hire people locally, you could hire them remote, you can use automation. There's a lot of things that you can do to alleviate yourself from 60% to 6% in the next few weeks, if you really want to. There's going to be some things you can do that can alleviate yourself from the 50 to 200. It's going to be a little harder, but you can do that. Here, this 5%, that's where you want to be at, as much as you can. And then all of a sudden, these numbers are going to change, right? So if you said, well, man, 500 to 1,000, I don't even know what I would do this week to make those kind of decisions and levers to pull. Well, that's because you're living down here. Once you clear yourself from this and you can focus on this tier and this tier, then all of a sudden you're going to see, you know what, if I did this, my time would be worth that. And then these numbers start to shift, and you're 5% down here and you're 60% up here. And then these numbers shift, and all of a sudden your company becomes more valuable. You make more money. It's as simple as that, is saying, okay, I've got to track my time in 15-minute increments to understand the value of my time. I can't say I have an hour-long meeting and assume that my time for that whole meeting was worth $500. I can't do that. What do I contribute to this meeting? What do I contribute, and how long does that require me to be there? Odds are, most meetings is probably not much, 15, 20 minutes. Which means the rest of the time, you're losing money by being there. So your meetings, your calls, your staff pop-ins, your email checking, you're wasting time on Facebook, all this stuff, track it religiously for a week, and then run this experiment and see what the number is. And when you do that, then run the experiment, say, well, if I moved from that, I worked on $300 an hour average task, what would happen to my business? And when you get there, all of a sudden, your business will explode because you're pulling the high levers that you need to, and you're not worried about whether or not you responded to an email from a customer complaint from 6 weeks ago that someone else should have handled for you. Time Back Boardroom works on this for you, with you. It's every Tuesday at 11. If you're interested, I'll leave a Google Doc below. You go there, check out all we have, the current offer. It's month to month, no contract. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you got any questions.